All right, guys. Something bizarre going on with my hover cam, like I talked about in the Zoom today. So just try to ignore this lower half down here, and we'll do our work right there. You'll see kind of dual images. You can figure it out. Just ignore the bottom half. Number three, write the equation line in slope intercept form for the point that goes through -2, 3, and 5, -11. This is where we got cut off fifth period. I had a fire alarm. You guys didn't, but I had a fire alarm today. And so my point is this: both of these equations are equivalent. Some people will calculate slope this way. You will need to, because if these numbers get uncomfortable, be able to do one of these two things. Pick the one in the video that you like the best. I always use this one, but it doesn't really matter. The next piece that I do is I call this one the first point, this one the second point. That's why x sub 1 and y sub 1 go over here. The sub 1s represent the first point. The sub 2s represent the second point. Here we are finding this one now. Y2 is -11. And then before I find out what y1 is, I immediately write that minus sign. When I get students from algebra, a lot of times the minus signs can be problematic. Okay, so when you're using this formula, write down what y2 is, which is -11. Then write this minus sign. Now write down what y1 is. y1 is 3. And I'll get students in class. They'll say, Feather, you said 3 and you wrote -3. No, I didn't. I wrote the minus sign, which stands for subtraction, and there is that 3. Let's do x2 minus x1. 5 is x2. I write down the minus, and here comes x1. x1 is a -2. Notice the difference between the two. Okay, so I have -11 minus 3, which is a -14. 5 minus a -2, that makes that a plus. So that's a 7. So my slope is -2. That's my slope. Now, the next step, which is the critical part, I'm going to plug in y equal mx plus b, which stands for slope intercept. This is the slope. This is the y-intercept. Okay, so y equals -2x plus b. Remember, I found that slope was -2. Now I need to figure out what b is. Use any point you want. I'm going to use this one because the numbers are smaller. Okay, so I plug 3 in for y. I plug -2 in for x plus b. 3 equals 4 plus b minus 4 minus 4. -1 equals b. So then my final answer is y equals -2x minus 1. This is the final answer in sloped intercept form. Okay, and that's a negative right there. Okay, next question. Okay, compare that how that works with this one. Find the equation line in slope intercept form. Passes through 8 and is parallel to y equal 3x plus 6. When lines are parallel, they have the same slope. Okay, so can you tell what the slope of this line is? Well, y equals mx plus b. M is equal to 3. So then the parallel line, and now watch this. You'll see some teachers in your future that will use this notation. Slope parallel would also be 3. The slope of this line is 3. A parallel line has to have the same slope. Okay, now look what I have. Slope, point. Go back to that previous question. Remember when I got the slope? Then I used a point. We're now at this step of the process right here. Okay, so y equals mx plus b. Y equals 3x plus b. Let's put, these are my x, this is my y, 8 in for y, 3 in for x. 8 is equal to 9 plus b, minus 9 from both sides. I get -1 is equal to b. Y-intercept of -1 again. What's the chance of that? I don't know. So y is equal to mx plus b. So y equals 3x minus 1 is my answer to that question. M was 3, b is -1. Remember, I plugged it into y equals mx plus b. Okay, last one. Perpendicular. Everything's the same, except now we're dealing perpendicular. So the slope of this line is 3. Perpendicular is a little bit trickier. Students do seem to get it with enough practice, though. Perpendicular line, it's called the opposite reciprocal. Opposite reciprocal. So that 3 is equal to 3 over 1. I make it a fraction first. Flip it over, 1/3. and then throw a minus sign in front of it. That's your perpendicular slope. I now have a point and I have a slope. It's just like the previous two questions now. Y equals mx plus b. Y equals negative 1/3 x plus b. And oh goodness, I'll have a good portion of my geometry students say, if either I don't like fractions at all, I am DONE done. And you need to knock it off. There's lots of ways to deal with fractions. We don't even know if this is a hard fraction to deal with just yet. I'm going to put 8 in for y and 3 in for x. Remember where I got my point. 8 in for y, 3 in for x. And I get some students that are so obsessed with their dislike of fractions that they won't even see that this is actually an easy one to do. What's 1/3 of 3? Think about it. What is 1/3 of 3? It's just 1, right? The 3's cancel. There's a negative there, so it's negative 1 plus b. Add 1 for both sides. 9 is equal to b. I now have this. I have my slope. Plug it into this. Y equal mx plus b. So I get y equals, m was negative 1/3 x, and my b was 9. And there it is. And there's those three questions, fifth period. Sorry that there was a fire alarm. And also, I apologize for my messed up hover cam, but we may have to deal with that. I hope the video makes sense. I'm sending it to fourth period as well. See you later.